Hello, my name is Peyton Bean, and today we are going to be talking about water bending, or instant ice. I'm going to rather move through this a little bit quickly because I just pulled these bottles out of the freezer, so I want to make sure that if it's going to work, that we can kind of move quickly and get through it. So first of all, what is instant ice? The phrase instant ice is pretty intriguing, but it's also pretty simple. So the process of cooling water well below the freezing point allows for a reaction, but it doesn't actually freeze inside of the freezer. I did use little tiny bottles of water. I don't use a whole lot of plastic, especially plastic water bottles, so I tried to save on that and use just little tiny ones. So I froze the bottles for a little over an hour just due to their size, so we'll see what kind of happens. My freezer is also broke, so unfortunately it's like over freezing everything, so I did kind of adjust the time just in case. So we will watch to see if these reactions will work, and super cold water is highly unstable, allowing for sudden reactions. So below, right here, I'm going to demonstrate what the reaction with the water bottle would be using just force, and we're just going to flick it and see if it crystallizes. So here's the first one. I don't think this is going to work because they are so small and I did not freeze them long enough. That stinks. Okay, so although it didn't work, I am going to go ahead and talk about how the process does work when it does work. The process is called nucleation because it encourages the molecules in the liquid to form crystal-like nucleus onto which others can then latch. So the kickstart can be given by a piece of dust, a rough spot on a surface of a container, or a shock wave that we just generated when we hit the bottle. Usually it would completely crystallize if it had been frozen correctly. Like I said, my freezer was broken. Unfortunately, it has been for a couple of months. So there was super frost everywhere and it was a little difficult to do. It worked earlier. Maybe I should have tried freezing them for a little bit longer, trying to get them really, really cool. They're pretty cold right now, but I don't think that they're cold enough. So that might be another reason why that didn't work. And then for our next little thing, we're going to be doing a frozen waterfall. So the next presentation is that of a frozen waterfall, if you will. Crystal-like formations are caused by a reaction with the frozen water and then ice. So it's creating a slushy-like crystal shape when it's poured slowly over top of the ice. So I did manage to grab some pretty big ice chunks out of here. And obviously, we're going to pretend like this works. I have not opened these yet, so... And obviously that's not going to work because it's not frozen enough. But what would typically happen if the bottles and the situation had been correct is they would form almost, I think they are stalagmites, I want to say, from what I remember back in the day going to the caves. They grow upwards. So basically like crystal formations would have formed, just like in the picture next to me on the screen. When that same reaction happens when it comes out of the cold hose, or I'm sorry, out of the warm hose into the cold air, that reaction happens and it kind of instantly freezes, which is a really cool experiment, and it would have been even cooler if it had worked. But obviously this part is not going to work either, but we are going to jump to the next one, which is freezing water in a glass. So in the demonstration in the previous video that we had watched with on the Canvas page, they poured this water into two separate glasses pretty slowly, which, like I said, I don't think that's going to work with this. I think I haven't frozen these enough, but we shall see if it does. So what would happen if we were to either drop a piece of ice, these are very large pieces of ice, if we were to drop a piece of ice in, it would instantly crystallize. And when you slowly add your frozen water to a clean glass, we should have been able to like drop a simple piece of ice into the water and watch it instantly freeze. And then for the other one, I think that they just held it on top like that and then watched the crystals form on top of the water. But obviously, because this didn't work today, you still kind of get the same principle and the same concept. But that is water bending. I hope you enjoyed.